And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the always pressing PGA DFS podcast. This week, we'll be previewing the 2018 WGC-HSBC Champions over in Shanghai, China. In order to do so, I'll be joined by my co-host, as always. Jesse, how we doing, man?
Doing well. How you doing?
Good. Another 78-man no-cut event, our favorites. But, hey, we got the Sanderson Farms if we really want to get our fix. It's okay.
Yeah, there's obviously two tournaments this week. So one in China, where the big boys are, and then the one over in Mississippi, correct?
Yes, it should be in Mississippi. I got it right here. Yep, Jackson, Mississippi, the country club of Jackson. So, yeah, that'll be going on right there. We aren't going to preview that one. If you have any questions, join us in the Sports DJ Slack chat where all the sports are getting covered. And we'll help you out in there. Just hit us up, and we'll let you know. If you need an invite into there, just ask either one of us. Ask the Sports DJs on their Twitter handle, whatever works for you. But we'll answer all your questions there. It's actually a half-decent, grade above web.com field, but still not the most impressive thing. And the names just came out, so we're not going to get too much into that one here. But if you have questions, let us know. Contests aren't great, but you know us. We'll probably say we're not going to play some. We'll have a lineup or two out there. So just let us know.
It's got a cut too, so if you're wanting some cut action and some shot tracker action, that's the route to take. But like Bubba just said, there's not a whole lot as far as contests on DK.
Just remember, Ryan Armour is the defending champion.
Yeah,
let that wrap. Even though he kicked ass last week, just wrap that around your head. Let's recap last week real quick. The big game hunter he conquered his matchup. He got it done. He's a little slow opening round, but the wind was just torturous. That opening round. That's some of the only footage. I watched a little bit scattered throughout the rest of the weekend, but I watched a lot of that opening round. It was nasty. It brought back. I averaged 20 to 25 mile an hour afternoon winds where I live, and I thought that was miserable. No, that was tough over there for those boys on the opening round. But most of them battled through that, and then the scoring got easier and easier, and the weekend got crazy. And Brooks carried it away, 21 under par. Gary Woodland, a nice 17 under par as he continues to play really, really good golf out of nowhere. I know we talked about it a lot on that season recap pod, how he started out so great and disappeared, but he finished the year strong, and he's starting off the Asian swing strong. Any major takeaways from the last weekend, Jesse?
It was a good call by you. I'm pretty sure he was your pick to win last week, correct?
I believe so, yes. He's my hike. It was him and Gary Woodland on my top two or something like that.
And they finished 1-2. So yeah, he had obviously an awesome week. I mean, the scoring was completely different than last year. It was 9 under won this golf tournament last year, and 9 under this year was tied for 14th. So yeah, Brooks obviously played well, won by 4 shots. Gary Woodland was right there; he finished second. Ryan Palmer birdied his last 7 holes to sneak into the top 3 there, which was, I thought, pretty notable. Because obviously no shot tracker. Pretty much the only way I'll be able to keep up with this is looking at the app, looking at scores every now and again, and then the at PGA bogeys and birdies. And the last one, he's 7 fire emojis. Pretty amazing to me. 7 in a row. Brian Palmer.
Yeah, fire emojis tell everything. So it is pretty impressive though that Ryan Palmer of all guys, and you mentioned 9 under last year, won it all. Just on Sunday alone, just having the PGA Tour scoreboard up on my app, Brooks was 8 under, Gary 9 under, Palmer 10 under, RCB 7. Some other notables: Hadwin was 8, Adam Scott was 9. You had a ton of guys at 6 under. Danny Willett shot 7 under on Sunday. Jimmy Walker, Chappell. Scoring, if you didn't score low, it got you. Xander shot 7 under to finish 3 under on the tournament. It's kind of what we were texting about earlier today, Jesse, how, we each had really solid lineups until, Answer went the other direction. I think
he finished 80. He shot 80.
Yeah, he shot 8 over on Sunday. When guys are shooting 8 under, he shoots 8 over. So I'm actually, as I'm watching that score grow, I'm wondering if he got hurt and he just finished out the round because – he's too good for that, in my opinion, way too good in conditions like that. So something to keep an eye on.
Wasn't he – I mean, he withdrew from the Safeway. Yeah. And I'm guessing that was because of injury. He's over there making guaranteed money, which I totally get, but maybe he aggravated something. I don't know. 80 is
ridiculous.
Is insane. Yeah, like you said, when other dudes are shooting, 62, and there was a lot of low scores. I mean, it was not just one person, but the birdies were there to be had on Sunday. My fade of the week again, my bust of the week, Jason Day finished top 5. I said that he needed to finish top 5 in order to pay off, and he did it. So 3 for 3 on bust of the week, or 0 for 3, however you want to look at it.
If you want to remember, and Jesse told you last week when he said Jason Day, make sure you go play Jason Day. So, he's just letting you know, and it won't be this way all year. It's not going to happen. It's just
awful.
It's no cut events though. It's like you look at some of these guys. He shot 5 under on Sunday alone. I'm pretty sure he had a pretty decent Saturday as well. He wasn't kicking ass the first 2 rounds. He might not even have made the cut if it was a real tournament. So
he shot 73, 71, 65. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you.
So you just gotta you gotta take all the grain of salt in these no cut events, and that's what's kind of been the good, the bad of it all. Is some of them it's really good golf. Like you see RCB, he came back and had a big weekend, but he really didn't do anything. He still finished really well. It's so hit and miss, and that's why I think guys like Brooks and Woodland did it back-to-back weeks on no cut events. Like he's played really, really well every round pretty much. So yeah. Very interesting to see. I was really bummed he's not here this week, and I know there's certain regulations because of the World Golf Championship and the high-ranked guys. It's the Euro Tour version, so they get certain X players in and so on and so forth. But I would have liked to see Gary in this field to see if he's really up to the task. Any final takeaways from last week in that CJ Cup at 9 Bridges?
Oh, man, that's it.
Did you find the 9th bridge?
It's metaphorical.
I'm joking. Sorry, I had to do it. All right, let's go to the WGC-HSBC Champions Preview, DraftKings Preview. Jesse, why don't you give us some past event history, because we actually have a decent amount here.
Yeah, so there's plenty of course history this week, which is a major plus in my book. It was originally a European tour event, mainly. And it became a WGC event in 2013, and it's been played at the same golf course, which is Sichuan International Country Club, something along those lines, over in China. And so last year, Justin Rose was the champion. He shot 14 under, beat DJ Brooks and Henrik by 2 shots. Year before that, Hideki Matsuyama was the champion. 23 under, won by 7 shots over Berger and Stinson. Russell Knox is a past champion here, 2015. Bubba's won this. He won it in 2015, and DJ won it in 2013. Since it's been a PGA Tour WGC event, other notable winners: Franny won it in 2010. Poulter won it in 2012, but Poulter won it when it was played at a different golf course. They played it here a lot, but in 2012 they changed the venue for some reason. And so that is it.
All right, go to the course preview real quick. The Shaishan Golf Club in Shanghai, China. Par 72, about 7,261 yards. Pretty much a bent grass golf course. As you said, they've been playing the WGC here since 2009 with an occasional off-season. They played HSBC tournaments here since 2005, as it was built in 2004. The last few weekends, we've talked about how they have these majestic-looking courses and so green, and they use all the vegetative land around it. Well, these guys came in here and actually moved like 1.5 million cubic feet of dirt around. Like they literally said, nope, we're designing exactly how we want this here. I don't care what's here in the way. They made it in like kind of an Oak Hills design in the U.S. is what they're going for. You see a lot of different things that you like here. They have elevated greens, very, very narrow fairways, about course average fairways, but last week we saw some of the biggest fairways out there. These are much tighter, like we've seen with a lot of these Asian courses, very shot oriented. Like you can bomb it and get away with it if you're accurate, but for the most part, you're going to want to give yourself nice iron shots in because the rough is very, very penal here. Some years way worse than others. You read a lot of course quotes from previous golfers, and they all emphasize how bad it is if you miss the fairway. Like the rough will literally, it's at least a 1-shot penalty, and it really gets you because these greens, decent size, very undulating, which makes them difficult. You get a lot of, this is one of the higher double bogey courses out there, but if you have a good iron shot from the fairway and you can control your ball, these greens are very receptive. When you're in the rough, you can't do that. So if these guys are getting good approaches in, they'll be just fine. They can stick darts and have good putts for birdie. If you're not, you're getting your bogeys, your double bogeys, and that's where scrambling comes into play, as these greens have a lot of false fronts and usually run about 12 to 13 on stem, so decent speed to top it off. So a lot of good stuff there. Tons of bunkers, especially around the greens, and some fairway bunkers. A lot of that to get in your way. 11 of the holes have water in play on them. Stuff to look at there. Rolling fairways. So again, like Lee Westwood, a lot of the Euro Tour golfers quotes, and some of the kind of like Matt Kuchars of the world were. All right. Where do you leave you off at?
Last thing I heard was Matt Kuchars of the world.
Okay, I'll edit all that out. The video will be a little different, but the audio is fine. Some reason the internet went out for like 30 seconds.
The joys of technology.
Yes, the joys of technology. So okay, so the Matt Kuchars of the world, we're basically saying if you're not in the fairways, you're in massive trouble, and you need to avoid that. You know, the bunkers and all that good stuff around there. Last but not least, I think I got most of it done that way. Then you got 4 par 3s, average about 200 yards. You got 12 par 4s, about 405 to 415, and then you got 4 par 5s. 2 are very, very reachable. 2 not so much. They average around 575 yards. So likely you can play the bummers, the DJs of the world, but I'm focusing more on, you know, your accuracy guys, your good iron players, because if they can get that good shot in there, they'll have a lot of birdie opportunities. And that's why I think guys like Poulter have had success here. Justin Rose can do it all. You can't stop him. But for the most part, just smart playing and not trying to do too much. That's why I think guys like Rambo are going to be in trouble again. We'll talk about that later. What are some of the key stats you're looking for this week?
Yeah, I mean, I'll look quite a bit of course history. There's a lot, especially with your traditional Euro guys. They played this tournament a lot back in the early teens, 2010s, 20-teens, whatever. So I will factor that in, and then just, you know, have to use a lot of recent stats. The problem with a lot of these guys haven't played much recently. But greens and regulation, I think, will be massive this week. You know, Justin Rose hit a lot of greens last year. He didn't putt overly like great for what you typically see in a winter. So I'm not putting a whole lot of emphasis on putting, but yeah, keep it in the fairway and hitting those greens.
Yep, fairway greens, some good scrambling just in case you miss the false fronts, find the bunkers and whatnot. But that's kind of what I'd be looking at there. Yeah, Justin went low on Sunday. It was kind of out of the ordinary. I think he shot 8 or 9 under on that Sunday. I was reading earlier. So something to keep in mind there. The weather-wise, opening round should be fine. Second round, maybe some afternoon rains. So if you believe in that kind of stuff, a PM, AM wave could help you, but there's no cut. So do what you want to do. If you think a guy's going to bomb out because the weekend should be just fine, then go for it. If it's just off and on light rains, just keep an eye on it. It'll just soften the course up even more. They can really pick their poisons out there and go low. So that's kind of where I'd look on those. Before we get to the DraftKings plays, let's talk a little, fan share sports. We talk about them for football, talk about them for golf. Lots of great projections, tags. They listen to everything. do it all for you. We'll talk about coming into this event, top DraftKings on average in the last 3 events. A name you're going to hear a lot this week from the Euro Tour is John Catlin. He hasn't played a ton where he's going to be registered in DraftKings when it comes to the PGA Tour, but he's averaging 103 points in his most recent occurrences. Hideki second, Jason Day third, Rio fourth, RCB fifth, Siwoo Kim. For some reason, they have Austin Cook on here, and I did not see him in the field unless I missed him. Cam Smith, Xander, and Ches Reavie is up to 10th in the last 3 events. Quite impressive. We talk about the last 6 events, though. You got Catlin still leading the way. Matsuyama, RCB, CT Pan gets up there to 4th. He wasn't on the last 3. Griot, there's Brooks Koepka, Xander, Austin Cook again, and then Billy Ho, who had a bad week last week, but at least it shows you some recent forms and playing well there. I think with Austin Cook, I forgot to mention the last couple of weeks. I was reading something a few weeks ago, and I should have mentioned it on these no-cuts event, and Cooks has balled out at these no-cut events. Him and Finau led the PGA Tour in birdies last season. Austin Cook, you wouldn't picture that, but he did. And that's something we definitely want to look at for these no-cut events where they can just add up birdies, and more birdies. And that's why I want to bring you to the WGC-HSBC from last year, because when you look at the top 10 leaderboard from last year, it was Rose, Stenson, Brooks, DJ, Stanley, RCB, Uline, Harmon, and Fitzpatrick. You got to go down to like T15. There's a guy named Brendan Grace. Well, when it came to DraftKings scoring last year, Brendan Grace finished 6th because he had 17 birdies. Overall, you had Rose, Brooks, DJ, guys that finished up high, but then you had Stanley, who had 19 birdies, RCB, Brooks, or Brendan Grace, Patrick, Harmon, Day, and then Alexander Levy was 10th. When you look at the overall leaderboard, Levy finished – where did he finish? I have it right here. He's not in the top 20, I'll tell you that much. Levy finished T31, but he was 10th in DraftKings scorings. I just wanted to kind of break it down more to explain to you guys how you might not need what you're thinking of when you look at the FanShare site, looking at past history. You can do tags, you can do DraftKings points, then you can go to like average birdies. In that tournament last year, Rose, DJ, Brooks, then there's Levy, Ryan Fox made that list, Patrick Cantlay, your boy Kiradek had 18 birdies, so did Ches. A couple things to look at there. They do bogeys, and then another one that's interesting because we mentioned that 2 par 5s are reachable. There was only 6 total eagles last year. RCB had 2, and then Brooks, Stanley, Haotong Lee, and Hideki each had 1 eagle. So you can kind of break things down, especially for no-cut events. I think it's something else to kind of take a look at to help you maybe finalize some decisions. Now that my long-winded analysis of FanShare Sports is over, please go check them out. We can move on to the DraftKings of the world and let Jesse do some talking. Jesse, 10K and above. You got DJ at 11.5, Justin Rose at 11.2, Brooks at 11,000, Rory at 10.7, Day at 10.3, and Hideki Matsuyama at 10.1. What you got?
Yeah, this is we say it every week. Any one of these guys can win. I think anyone probably above 9 has a really, really good shot to win this week. As far as like the plays, it's kind of a pick your poison type of deal. I really have been looking at Rory quite a bit. He's got really, really good course history here: 4th, 11th, 6th, 4th, 5th, 4th in all the events he's played here since 2009. So he must like this golf course. Now, can he? Maybe it's because you don't necessarily have to have a putter, but does he have any interest in it? I don't know. At 10.7, I think that's a pretty good price on him. DJ is okay. Rose is very playable. I expect him to be popular. Brooks off the win, I don't know. Hideki I could play again too, and Jason Day, I'm just not a big fan of. Again, he did finish 11th here last year, but so for me, it's like I probably will be mostly Rory up top.
No, I like that. I'll have to look more into Rory because that could be interesting. He's always low owned in this grouping of the up top guys. We talk about it all the time, and he's always low owned up here. So definitely something to look at there. Justin Rose, I love. I agree. I think everyone's going to love him, so it's going to be really difficult. It's kind of like JT last week. Everybody wanted him. And hey, props to JT because he goes and plays the first 2 events and then bows out because he's flat out said it in the past. I don't play good on this course. Why would I go waste my time here? Props to you. That's smart.
It makes sense. He doesn't
don't embarrass yourself.
he doesn't need the guaranteed money anymore either. I mean, he's
No.
he's making plenty. So
yeah, I don't blame him for that at all. Why go beat yourself up for 4 more rounds? I love it.
Right.
Because people were wondering what's he doing, not going. That's why he doesn't. He flat out has said, "I don't play good at this course." So there you go. And that goes for people with course history for you right there. Just let you know. Justin Rose 11-2. I do like Brooks. I think is interesting to keep an eye on because people will use the narrative back-to-back weeks. He did finish tied for second here last year. I think he's very much in play if he wants to be here. And it made me feel better last week because like the opening night, he's got a commercial that they specifically made for him in Thailand or wherever the heck they were last week, like doing stuff around the area and stuff. It was pretty impressive.
Korea,
yeah, it was very impressive. I was just like, oh my goodness, like he went all in for this trip. So Brooks is interesting. Matsuyama, I'm with you. He'll go low, and Rory and Matsuyama would be the two guys to really target there. So for me right now, I might look some more into Rory. I probably won't be up here at all, but if so, it's going to be either Brooks or Rory. I'll go that direction right now. Let's get into the 9K range. You got Finau at 99, Molly at 98, Fleetwood at 95, Rahm at 93, Casey at 92, Hatton at 91, and Noren at 9,000. So some very, very nice players here. What do you like here, Jesse?
Well, obviously Finau at 99. I mean, he finished 11th here last year, but you just talked about it, kind of broke it down a minute ago. He makes birdies. He scores DraftKings points, and that's what we're in the business of trying to predict here, is trying to figure out the guy who's going to score the most points possible. So I don't know. This year I kind of took the view last year of trying to fade Finau and just continuously getting burnt because he's popular. He's probably going to be, especially in this event, if you're in 200-man field, he's probably going to be 40% owned. If you're playing cash, he should be 75% owned most likely. So I mean, it's for me. I'm just going to eat the chalk there. I'm just going to eat the chalk on Finau. The other option would be, when you said you're not going to go to 10-5 or above 10, I'm guessing you like Fleetwood. I'm a pretty big fan of Fleetwood again, and also Paul Casey. I think Fleetwood, he hasn't necessarily played this course very well, 20th, 30th, 24th, 18th in his last 4 here, but I feel like he's playing better golf than he was last year, and especially in 15, 14, and 13, those 3 years in a row where he played here. So I think he's very playable. If he's, striking his irons, there's almost nobody better in the world than him. And Casey's he's on a run, man. Now, with the back hold up, I hope 2 straight top 12s here. So those are the 3 for me there in that region.
I like that a lot. I'm with you on Finau. I'll eat the chalk. He's going to be ridiculously priced, our chalk-wise. It's going to be crazy. Yeah. But I'm all in on Finau at 99. This is a guy I played almost every week, period, but definitely no cut events. And we already talked about why. I do love Tommy. He's coming in phenomenal form. Tier 11 or better in 4 straight events. T20 here last year, yeah. And I agree, he's a much different player. It says Fleetwood written all over it. It just takes one of his hot weekends to put him right up in contention. And he can play really, really well here at 9,500. He can bomb a course. He can play smart on the course. He's got both aspects of his game I like a lot. So those 2 for sure. And then the might not be sneaky in a small field, but Tyrell Hatton, again, didn't get a ton of ownership last week like we talked about. He's only $9,100. T14 last week, T2 the week before, T11 here last year. So I think Hatton's coming in under the radar and could be very nice at 9,100 as well. But for me, I think I'll start a lot of lines with Finau and Fleetwood and go that direction. Going into the 8K range, you got RCB, Cantlay, Fitzpatrick, Poulter, Reed, Scott, Binion, Cam Smith, Shoffley, and Billy Ho. Another really solid range here. RCB at 89, I absolutely love. T5 tier last year, T3 last week, as he really tore it up over the weekend. So a lot to like there with RCB. You mentioned he had 2 eagles here last year, the only man to do so. So I do like some RCB for sure. Then we go down to the likes of Fitzpatrick at 87, coming in outstanding form. And he T9 here last year, T16 and T7. So 2 T9s or better in 3 appearances. I like Fitzpatrick a lot at $8,700. Poulter definitely gets my attention on a course where you can kind of play smart and poke and prod around. You saw he did that last week with a T10. Yeah, he's played this 11 times, 3 top 10s, 7 top 25s. So at $8,600, I can definitely get behind that. I think Binion will be interesting because everyone was all over him recently, especially going into last weekend. He T41 and let a lot of people down. He has a very, very good ball striker, very, very good irons plays. So 83 for Ian. You might get him in some nice lower ownership, something to keep an eye on there. And then same with Billy Ho. I think he's let a lot of people down. He's been riding hot. People have been all over him. Doesn't have really great history here, but is definitely a guy I can look at coming off that T81 last week, or the week T7. No, that's also T67. Sorry, reading the wrong line. T67 last week, where he just completely fell apart. His iron play, which he has really, really well, good driving iron and whatnot off the tee at $8,000. I think he'll go super overlooked. This is a guy that was, finishing really, really high in a lot of really good fields towards the end of the season. So Billy Ho could be another low-owned guy here, but RCB is the guy I really want, followed by Poulter, and then go down the list. And Cam Smith could be interesting as well at 82. Keep an eye on him. What do you like, Jesse?
Yeah, I don't mind RCB. I can never get him right, though. I mean, I played him 2 weeks ago, and he finished 50th, and didn't play him last week, and he shot 63 or something on Sunday there to finish tied for third, or 65. So he went 65 on the weekend. So, I mean, maybe he figured something out. But like I said, I just can't ever peg him. I do like Poulter quite a bit. He's played here a lot. He's played here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Worst finish was 45th back in 2009, but he finished 30th, 2015, 6th, and 2nd in the 2 years prior to that. So I'm a big fan of Poulter at 86. I think he'll go overlooked by, some of these other names around here. Adam Scott's interesting too at 84. We talked about him a little bit last week on the pod, and he maybe figured something out on Sunday, but he's so streaky. But it's kind of what you want in these events. I mean, if you played him last week, you probably were not winning much until he shot 30 on the back nine, which he started with on Sunday, and turned into 63. So Scott may have figured something out, but for me, really, my favorite play here is Poulter. So that's where I'll probably have most of my lineups going.
I like it. Let's get to the 7K range. We got a handful of guys, a lot of Euro players and whatnot. Who are some of the guys in the 7K range you're looking at, Jesse?
Yeah, Olsen, I think, is playable at 79. He's coming off a missed cut, so that was at the British Masters, totally different, obviously venue. So maybe that'll get some people off of him. I know he's kind of been popular in the past, like at the PGA Championship. He was almost 20% owned, finished 56, but his form isn't necessarily awesome coming in. But I think he is playable. It'll just be interesting to see if he's highly touted. If he is, I'll probably back off. If not, I think I'll have a lineup or two with him. One of my favorite plays is Hao Tong Lee. He is Chinese, so he's kind of like the Sung J M of last week, but he's played here a bunch. 50th, 63rd. He finished 7th, 2015. So, it's there, and he's streaky as well. He can make birdies and the occasional eagle in bunches. Other than that, Russell Knox, from a course history perspective, I think is interesting. He won this in 2015. Eddie Pepperell, he's coming off a win at the British Masters, which was last week or the week before last. So, I think he's playable 73. Thomas Peters, probably an underprice on him, as many birdies as he can make. And last but not least, Chez. I mean, he finished 24th here last year, and he was actually leading the CJ Cup for a while last week in a route to a 7th place finish, where everybody was touting bombers and all that kind of thing. But if you're looking for a guy who's going to keep it in the fairway, hit a lot of greens, Chez is your guy. So that's pretty much it for me. Like, Lee would be my favorite play. Sprinkle in some Pepperell, Knox, Thomas Peters, and Chez.
Yeah, and I like a lot of those. One guy I need to look at, and I'm going to butcher this name, but Lucas Bjerregaard.
Yeah, that's who knows? I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he's coming in amazing form. It got my attention, so I looked at him with T9, a first, a T20, a second, a 6th. Never played here before. Obviously on the Euro Tour, but he's got great Euro Tour stats. Tee to green, approach, they all just line up beautifully. Like, everything looks really good with him. I've already heard his name so much, and it's only 3 o'clock Pacific time on Monday, which terrifies me on ownership. Again, I know we keep plugging them with Fanshare Sports. Lucas, they do a great job over there with Logan Harper and all those guys. So go check that out, because Lucas will be very interesting to see what his ownership is. If it's reasonable at 78, I'll probably have some stabs at him. I agree, your Olsen call and Hao Tong Lee, both on both sides of him, are phenomenal pivots. off of him if he's chalky. I think Lee's really good. Like you said, he can score DraftKings wise. We mentioned him on the fan share recap. So something to think about there. I always have a soft spot on courses like this with Kyle Stanley. He really crapped the bed last week, but he T5 tiered last year, and before last week was playing really, really good golf. He'll go lower owned, I think, after a lot of things happened last week at 76. You can take a look at him. Eddie Pepperell coming in phenomenal form. For those that don't remember, we recapped the season. He was the one that got hung over and just torched the British Open on Sunday. Yeah. He's very, very good. He's actually really, really good golfer. He just has his ups and downs like many golfers do have. But Eddie at 73 could be a nice play. I think he's going to be popular as well because people know him. Ches Reavie, I love. I'm with you. He's one of my core players at $7,100. We already mentioned last year, DraftKings wise, he was a top 10 guy at this event, even though he finished T24. He was on the top 10 in birdies. I believe he had one of the 6 or 7 eagles I talked about. And he's coming in phenomenal form. He's got that good iron play. If he's sticking it, he's got short birdie putts. He might not finish, like I said, T24 last year, but he can rein in those DraftKings points. So I like that a lot at 7,100. A couple others if you need to punt away here without going too deep. CT Pan, very good iron player, approach guy at 7K. And then Julian Surrey is a guy that could go really low. He's played on the Euro Tour before he came over to the U.S. last year. We've seen him play really good as the year went on in the U.S. This kid, he does have his hiccups from time to time, but, last 5 events he's played in, T5, T21, had a T53, but then a T16 and a T35, and he also brings some really good iron play in there. So at 7K, he's a guy that could rack up some birdies for you as well. Could also be very tilting, but he's interesting. But I agree. Lee's very interesting. I love Reavie. There's a handful of others in that 7K range we can help you guys with later. 6K, Jesse, locked and loaded. Who are you looking at down here? Because there's actually, if you want to get weird, you can get weird down here if you need to.
Yeah, there's a few. Wu Ashun, probably mispronounced that, but he's played here a bunch. He might be okay to play. Not a huge fan. Matt Wallace at 67. He has played well recently, including a win back in September at the Maiden Denmark. Finished 16th at the British Masters. So coming in pretty good form there. I think he's decently playable. Eric Van Ruin, he's got 2 straight missed cuts, but again, this is a no-cut event, so you can take some stabs. He'd be a guy that I'd be willing to take a stab with. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this region down here, so I'll probably try to avoid it as much as possible. But another guy would be Scott Vincent. He played at the CIMB Classic and made the cut. Was there a cut at CIMB? No, there wasn't a cut at the CIMB Classic. So he finished 66th, but before that he was playing well. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of this region down here.
No problem. Adam Hadwin at 69 is just interesting. He's actually playing decent golf of late, even though I like to clown on him quite a bit. Another good iron type guy at $6,900. Andy Sullivan at 68 is coming in really, really good form on the Euro Tour, so he's a guy you can take a look at. Somehow we clowned him, but Patton Kazire has come over here and he's gone T31 and T21 back-to-back, and he's $6,600. So I don't completely hate that. I'm not like condoning it as a great play, but he's actually playing decent. One I do like down here is Alexander Levy for the fact that he's coming in and playing mediocre golf. He's like a T30 type guy, T31 here last year. But we also talked about how last year he had a ton of birdies and a ton of DraftKings scoring. He finished T31 and he finished 9th, I think, in DraftKings scoring last year. So yeah, he can definitely get it done at 6,500 if you want to punt and just pray for points. Kadara's down here, another world golf ranking player, but he's $6,300. So take that with a grain of salt. And then the name you're going to hear a lot besides the first guy I mentioned, Lucas, that I couldn't pronounce his last name. The other one, because he's coming in phenomenal form, T22 at first, the 17th at T9 at T8. He's on fan share in the last 3 and 6 events. He's leading fan share scoring. Is Mr. Catlin, John Catlin at $6,200. I know absolutely nothing about him. Not even going to act like I do. But he's coming in really good form, and his name is everywhere right now. So if you want a $6,200 punt, that's going to be chalky. There you go. But I think where I'm going to probably go is I'm going to look at some Alexander Levy and a couple others and try to be a little different where I can. But ugly nonetheless. All right, Jesse, we've wrapped up the field of 78. Let's get some centralized picks in as always. First off, who do you have busting this week?
Oh, who's going to do well? Okay. my bust this week. I mean, that's pretty much what the segment should be called. Who are you going to say is going to play bad and end up doing well? So go ahead and play that person. I'm gonna go with Brooks. I mean, at 11,000, I don't know. I don't know if he'll go back to back. And again, he's got a top 5 pretty much to pay off 11,000. So can he? Yes. Will he do it? I don't think so.
I'm going DJ, and if I got to go farther down, I'm going John Rahm. John Rahm's got to prove it to me right about now. He's almost in my Tiger Woods. I'm just going to fade him until he proves me wrong thing. In a good field, like not in a cherry field. But in a good field like this, he's going to have to prove me something. He just really has to. Who is your favorite punts if you have to this week?
Yeah, I mean, if you're punting, again, like I'm not a huge fan of going below 7. So like my one pick above 7 would be Thomas Peters. Right there at 71. I think that's a good play. But other than that, Woo Ashun.
How did I miss it? How is Thomas Peters only $7,100? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's not playing. He's not really super.
No, he's not playing well. But
his course history isn't that great. But I mean, I think he can. He's a good enough talent to figure it out at some point, and I think he will. So, at 71, I'm willing to take the risk in a no cut event here.
No doubt. Yeah, mine's going to be Levy, or if I take one like 71, I'll go Ches Reavie at 71. The guy I'd go to. Who's your core at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Rory this week. I think he'll be low owned, and then also Finau as well, and Fleetwood. Probably gonna be difficult to fit all 3 of those in. So the core would be more like Fleetwood and Finau.
Yeah, Fleetwood, Finau, RCB. I want those guys, and that's when I'll have to probably go down to like a Reavie and a Levy and see what happens from there. But like you said, at least Fleetwood and Finau would be a very good starting point, and we're both on board there. So hopefully we have a good Sunday chain. All right, let's finish it up. I'm gonna call AT&T after this. I already bitched them about DirecTV, so we'll kick it on the internet. On Sunday, who do you have winning this thing?
Winner, I'm gonna go with Finau. I think it's his year. He's gonna break through. He's gonna get something done. Let's hop on board and be there for it.
Yep. Okay. I had Finau as well. So there we go. If we're both on Finau. We're both on Finau and Fleetwood. So if you like us, play him. If you don't, fade away, folks. That's all I can say there.
Basically, lock in Fleetwood, Finau, and Brooks and just make it happen.
Yep. Let's rock and roll with those. Before we wrap up, again, we'll talk Sanderson Farms in the Slack chat. For anybody's got questions for that, just ask one of us for an invite if you don't have one already. Did you see Sergio won an event this weekend?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I didn't look at the field, though. I didn't look at a field, though. Was it actually worth anything?
I didn't check the field out either, but there was quite a bit of course history there, and it's golf. You know, I mean, we have a podcast about predicting the hardest sport possible. You know, I mean, it really is. I mean, think about it. There's nothing harder to predict than golf.
All right, yeah, because I played yesterday. Humble comments here. I'm like an 18.5 handicap, so I'm not great, but I'm not horrible. And I go out there in the opening 9, and I couldn't do it. I shot a 50 on the front. I literally couldn't do anything. 38 on the back, so I made my handicap. It's like you just completely two different. Like that, basically, what I'm saying is that sums up golf.
Yeah.
You never know.
So, that's right. I mean, you know, Sergio's a world-class talent. So does it surprise me? No. You know, I think he can win just about anywhere he goes. It's just such a mental game. You just never know. All right, that's it for this week, guys. If you're watching live, we appreciate it. Sorry about the technical difficulties, and we will catch you next time. You guys have a good week, and hop in the Slack chat if you have questions or need help, or hit me or Bubba up on Twitter. We're happy to help. Later.